Hello everyone, welcome to Off the Cuff, where the headlines come to life, and we are sitting here with someone who is not a stranger to Off the Cuff, Mike Batayeh, star of film, comedy, TV, and everything else we can think of. Mike, welcome.
How you doing, sweetie?
Welcome back to
It's been a long
Detroit.
time.
You've been gone for quite a while. LA took you away from us for a little bit.
19 years, yeah.
19 years?
19 years. Well, I think last time I was here, I made an announcement I was moving back. So
Right.
I moved back last July. I spent my first winter here and froze my butt off. People kept telling me, it was a mild winter we had. I was like, mild? Yeah. It was a tundra for me, man. Yeah,
Michigan winters are rough,
my blood
regardless.
got thin. Yeah, you can hear my voice. I'm still getting over
You're
damn
still
cold
getting
that
over
happened
it.
4 months ago.
So you've done a lot of film. You're known really much more as a ingenious comedian, and I love your comedy. But you do film and you do TV, and you've been in LA doing all this stuff. What prompted your return back to our Metro Detroit area, to the tundra?
It was time. It was just like I should have done it 10 years ago. Like I just wanted to make my home base back here and still travel. Like I just got back from LA for a film festival. I had a movie called Namor that was in there, directed by Heidi Saman. So I visited twice already. But
so, what was the movie? Namora, you said?
Namor. It just made a
Namor.
premiere
What was that about?
at the LA Film Festival. About this Egyptian family. It kind of opens up on the son, who's kind of going through a lot of emotional stuff. The fathers are already out of the picture. I guess when they moved here, father and the mother separated. Wonderful actors in it, Walid Zouatar that played the father, Saeed Faraj, etc. And it just shows how they're in the process of the mother selling the house to downsize, going through a lot of financial turmoil, and this kid's just trying to find his way. And he's kind of living under his potential. He's working as a valet, and it's kind of a character study. So I play one of the uncles. Kind of had a couple scenes in there where we're doing of course they do the political debates all the time when they're sitting in circles.
Oh yeah, around the table.
Yeah. So I'm playing this really loud, boisterous. I watched it and I was
loud,
like,
boisterous.
Yeah. No, even worse with the accent. I was like, it's one of my uncles right there. Yeah. Freaked me out. Yeah.
We were talking earlier, and you said you were also doing a movie called Dirty with Chaz Bono and Paul Elliott, who's actually been to our studios before too. I remember you brought him. Very nice young man.
Daniel Rengi. Paul Elliott's from Detroit, Dearborn actually. He moved out to LA a few years ago. Daniel Rengi directed it, and
Chaz Bono.
It was his debut. Yeah.
His debut.
His debut, and it was pretty good. He played this heroin addict. It was really good. I saw the movie when I was in LA. I missed the premiere, man. Cher was sitting right there. I saw pictures, like, damn it! I couldn't make it out there. But yeah, it's a really good film. It's going to be, I think July 12th is going to be on demand, and then it's going to be released other platforms after that. But yeah.
Sounds like
coming back to LA, going back there and coming back here, it's just different now. Like I went there and it was just, I felt, and I was there for 19 years. I don't know why I had that feeling. I just felt out of sorts.
When you come back home, it's home.
Yeah, and then when I came back here, I was kind of in a bubble. I would just come back twice a year to visit or do shows. And then when I moved back, you saw me, like we talked, I was kind of bummed out. I was like, it's not the same. Like everything changed, the dynamics. Like I went downtown Detroit, I went to go party there. And man, it was like, a lot of white people, a lot of fearless white people. When I was there partying before I moved, it was like 2 white people downtown, and everybody else is just like brown. So it's changed. Like they're just gentrifying and then they're redecorating. It's just it's crazy.
Yeah, the dynamics are changing. Well, people are going back to Detroit, and it's the cultural mix that it needs to be.
It's really good. Yeah.
It's really nice.
Yeah, it's really cool. A lot of the cool new spots. Corktown, they renovated, and I hear they're moving the the Red Wings got moved out of Joliet Arena.
Yeah.
So it was just like, it ain't home no more, Dorothy. Yeah, it was crazy, but I dig it.
But good things happening. I mean, and hopefully Detroit can be revitalized. And
big time.
having
my old neighborhood in Southwest hasn't changed one bit. I went to Mexican Town, and this is the only difference is now. Like I get older and I go back, I feared for my life a little bit this time. I was like getting out of the car looking. that's changed a little bit. But
and that's where you grew up.
that's where I was born and raised, man. I had no fear when I was there because I was one of the hooligans.
You were the ones to be afraid
you get
of.
older, that's when everyone else was getting older. I was like, that guy looks dangerous. I see a bunch of teens walking down the street, and I just curved around the other way.
You've actually been in Breaking Bad too, and I always wanted to ask you about that.
Yeah.
I mean, what was that experience? And I mean, you did a few
It
shows
was supposed to
from
be
Breaking Bad.
I recurred on a few shows, like the most recent with the Kevin Hart show, Real Husbands of Hollywood. I just did my 4th episode, but Breaking Bad, it was just supposed to be one episode, and I played Dennis Markowski, and that was Markowski. Do I look like Markowski? So it was supposed to be one episode.
Talking to Austin, our cameraman over there.
Yeah, exactly. Austin, yeah. Because he's white, so he can relate. He's like, no, you're not a Murkowski. So I was supposed to do one episode, and I had no idea what the show was when I booked it. And I got off, and people were like, you did Breaking Bad? Dude, it's the best show. I thought people were exaggerating. And then they told me I was coming back. So I said, okay, let me go on Netflix and watch 1 or 2 episodes just to get familiar with it. And the whole weekend I just binge watched the whole thing up to like season 4, which is when I started being on it. And it was the best damn show I've ever seen on TV. Like every episode was just flawless.
It was edgy.
Yeah. And it was a great experience. Vince Gilligan is very humble, and he directed my first episode as well. And he's the creator of the show. And Bryan Cranston, everybody was just very humble, very all about business, and then afterwards when they party. So,
I'm not sure I'm going to ask you about that.
It was fun. No, we had a good time. It was shot in New Mexico, so it was great to go down there, and people are just, it was pretty awesome. So I had a good time.
That's great.
Did like 3 episodes.
Any plans?
For
any future kind of episodes,
for
any series?
Well, no, they're doing the Better Call Saul, which is a prequel of the lawyer, Bob Odenkirk's character. So who knows? There's like rumors that Bryan Cranston and Aaron Paul might make a little cameo towards the end of his run to kind of segue into what had happened. So who knows? I might get thrown in there. If I'm lucky.
No,
but I did, like I said, I did another show of Vince Gilligan. It was short-lived. It was right after, called Battle Creek, and it was a detective show that was based in Battle Creek, Michigan. And I didn't know this, but Vince Gilligan used to vacation. He used to go to camp in Battle Creek, Michigan. So I guess him and his writing partner back then had created the show before X-Files, before Breaking Bad, before all that. So right before or during Better Call Saul, he went back to his partner. That's how great of a guy he is. He went back and said, "Hey, remember that idea? We got to deal with CBS and put it on there." Yeah, I don't think the ratings are too well, so they kind of got rid of it. But it was a great show. I think it's on Netflix right now.
Really?
2 seasons. It was really good.
Well, you did Detroit Unleaded, which is like something that was homegrown here in Metro Detroit. Rilla Nashef was the writer and producer. And as a matter of fact, you and Rilla both did the Images and Perceptions conference that I do here, and you went to Chicago. We played excerpts before it was even out, and it was a total hit.
It was very cool.
What's going on with that show? I know it's been in different markets, and it's been here.
It was on demand. It was on the website. You could purchase it or rent it. It was on what is it? Amazon, Hulu,
Europe,
Hulu,
and the Middle East.
But what's happening now? I just did an interview in Wisconsin, but I think it's just maybe unprecedented. It's like the first Arab cast director, but it's a universal theme, so it kind of cross market. But it's going to be showing on regular TV in certain American markets. I don't know exactly what cities and all that, but I know Wisconsin's going to be doing it in July, and then it's going to go to Europe and certain Middle Eastern markets. Like I said, it's kind of unprecedented. It's going to be on regular TV as opposed to pay TV and you can still watch it on the website, and Amazon's still up there. But
well, that was
in the future,
cool.
you won't have to pay for it. It's just going to be
there.
It's going to be pretty cool.
Yeah. Well, the storyline too was very interesting, and your part was really funny. I loved it. Really cool. Absolutely loved it. So your move from LA to Detroit, how is that affecting your acting career? I mean, is that working for you, going back and forth? Are you finding any opportunities here in Detroit?
Not an opportunities here locally, but it's over there. I was supposed to be doing 2 movies. It got pushed back, one in Morocco, one in Canada. But yeah, locally, it's not much happening here anymore.
Well, since the film incentive was taken away.
The governor took it away, yeah. I think the last thing
we were looking at Batman. We were looking at
yeah,
all these.
they shot parts of
different,
Batman and Superman here, and then
I
it
mean,
just kind of faded.
stars galore were
That's
in
actually
downtown Detroit.
That's actually when I should have moved back.
Yeah, right.
It's like I could have worked
It's all
locally
the
more.
timing,
And
like.
yeah, I thought it was gonna be here forever. It was
so
still
did
happening
we.
when I shot Detroit and Atlanta. I was like, oh man, they're building. I think Warner Brothers is gonna
Studios,
build a studio
yeah.
and retrain some auto workers, and I was like, oh, it's gonna be the heyday of Detroit.
Yeah, there was a huge
Michigan.
film building out in downriver. I think
And
Allen
Schneider
Park
just cut
somewhere,
it, right?
and everything was just was totally taken away. So
Yeah, I came back and just
What
just
happened?
crickets. I was like, what happened? I think they're still doing like independent films and stuff like that, but the big budget studio stuff is not happening. TV shows, Detroit 187 was shooting here, and so yeah, I don't know. Hopefully it comes back. We'll see. We'll see.
I know. You actually did the 2016 Images and Perceptions Diversity Conference, and you did some comedy there, and people very much enjoyed it. And your comedy is always, I'm always sitting there on the edge.
No, this
But
time I
you
was.
did good. You
this time
behaved
I was
yourself.
clean. I was very clean. I think I said the B word once, but it had to fit.
Yeah.
So yeah. I was a little nervous too because I had to follow the chief of police of Dearborn, and I grew up in the south of Detroit, so I'm still paranoid of cops. I don't know why. I'm still driving to see a cop. I was like, oh, I started thinking about the stuff I did, and what did I do?
There was a lot of police officers in that room. You have to behave yourself. But we're going to show an excerpt of that right now for the comedy skit that you did, and here it is, everyone.
Mike Batayeh makes a living by making people laugh, but more importantly, he makes us look reality in the face and gives us permission to laugh at ourselves because that's what makes us human. Star of Detroit Unleaded, Don't Mess with the Zohan, and Breaking Bad. Please help me welcome comedian extraordinaire, Mike Batayeh.
Give it up for Sam, everybody, for putting this together. And thank you for booking me right after the cops. I appreciate that. I grew up in Detroit, so I'm in the back and my butt was clenched the whole time. Thinking about stuff I did like 25 years ago. I was like, oh God, they're gonna find out. I try to believe him. I try to believe him when the white cop was like, you know, I'm part of your community. We're friends. And he's got a gun right here, you know? It's like, I'm part of the community. Are we clear? Unified diversity in the media, man. You guys good? You guys holding up? I know you've been here since 8:30, right? I just walked in. I'm Arab, so I'm late, you know. We have no excuse. We show up late for everything, right? Arabs in the house? Right? We show up late. No excuse. We're so late, we have black people waiting on us. It's like this. There's no excuse, right? There's no excuse. What people have excuses to be late are Lebanese women. Got any Lebanese women? Yeah. You guys have an excuse to be late. Because you have to wait for your men to get ready. It's the same, you know, it's good. Some pretty men. I've been in Hollywood 19 years, man. It's good coming back to Dearborn, man. Just driving through it and the potpourri of smells. You know what we're talking about. You drive through, it's like a potpourri. Like you got garlic, cumin, body odor, and cologne. That's it. You go through different sessions and said, that's like you can't decide. So I grew up in Detroit. I grew up in Mexican town. You guys familiar with Mexican town? Yeah. But I was an Arab. I don't look it, right? I look like Latino. Yeah. I play it to the hilt too, like especially when 9/11 happens, like, mi amo Hector. People, yeah, they don't know. Like people will talk about Arabs to me. And I let them go for like a half hour and say, yeah, that's crazy. I'm like, you know I'm Arab, right? They're like, I love hummus. That's it? That's all you love? Thank you, appreciate that. But it's it's a shame we have to do this. I mean, I'm glad we do the diversity media, but it's a shame. Like, you know, when's it gonna end? Like, you know, it's just diverse. You gotta love each other. You gotta get along. White people, you here? Raise your hands. 1, 2, 3, 4, 9, 10. Are you here out of curiosity or suspicion? Why'd you show up? See what those damn Arabs are doing today. Got Arabs? Raise your hands. See all that? You see the white people's asses clenched? They just raising their chair 2 feet. Like, lock the doors. Get them! It's good, man. You know, you gotta get along. A lot of stereotypes here.
That was way too cool. I think you did an amazing job, and you related to the audience. So of course that was just a little excerpt of doing that.
It was a little kick for me too, because Jamie Farr was there.
Right.
And he was like, I think it was him and Danny Thomas were the only Arabs on TV that would admit they're Middle Eastern.
Right.
There's a few now that are half, and they won't admit. I could drop some names, but I'm not putting them on blast. And they're pretty big. But yeah, it was very cool. I think I even told him when he was in the audience that towards the end, I was like, you were like my hero. And I remember as a kid, I just used to watch and just kind of rub your nose on the TV screen, like, oh, yeah. So that was pretty like a childhood, very surreal moment, like I'm performing in front of the man.
You let the cat out of the bag because
Yeah.
when you were actually performing, he was sitting in the other room. I mean, he was watching you
Yeah.
because through the curtains and what have you.
It was pretty awesome.
Yeah, and then you said Jamie Farr is here, and he was like, he wanted to be on the QT so he could see your performance, and then and everybody was like,
people didn't know. I didn't know. Yeah, I saw everybody shift like.
He says,
and
I want to watch
everybody
him,
knew.
so let me watch over here. So he goes, oh my God, they let the cat out of the bag. But
Yeah,
it
I didn't
worked
know,
out.
man. I was wondering why he kind of did that. He was laughing, and I kind of saw that. I didn't know.
But you do a lot of cultural stuff too. I mean,
Yeah.
you've traveled overseas. You've traveled to Europe. You've traveled. You know, what are the differences that you see in your audiences? I mean, do you use the same material that you use here that you would overseas, or?
Well, I mean, you see me do stand up a few times, and sorry, I'm like.
It's getting used to
I'm
Detroit
choking
weather.
from all the love.
There you go.
So, I mean, you see me do shows several times, and it's kind of never the same. I'll throw in same jokes here and there, but I just can't,
You
follow the same.
customize it to your audience.
Yeah, I do. So, there's not much difference, and you could do a lot of, like when I do different cities, or if I do the Middle East, I'll kind of start out 5 minutes or so in the beginning, kind of do local stuff. That's why I like to go a day or two before to kind of soak it up, because that's how you pull them in.
Right.
Like,
right.
oh, he's not just doing the rote stuff and kind of direct it towards them. But Middle East audiences, I think I said it last time last time when I was here, stand-up comedy is very new over there in the Middle East.
Yes.
They just used to sketch comedy. And I think Jordan was the first place that had Western comedians performing to the audiences instead of troops. And normally when comedians go there, like, oh, I went to Iraq, I went here, and I went there, and it's all for the American troops.
Right.
So some of my comedy friends are like, oh, you perform for the troops? I was like, no, we perform for the audiences.
The locals.
Audience. Yeah, so it was like Axis of Evil first, and I think I went there like a week after. It started in Dubai, but they're it really accelerated their love for it, and they're very savvy audiences. They're very smart. So you can go up and down, you can a little toilet humor, you can go to politics. Just in the beginning, when you first went there, I noticed it changed within 5 years. Whereas opposed to here in the 50s, 60s, it was you couldn't really start cursing a little bit until Lenny Bruce came along. And that took a 20-year evolution, maybe 10-year. But when we first got there, they were like, we had a driver, and we're like, we're here for the comedy show. We're doing comedy. Well, sure, what's the stand-up comedy? I was like, the microphone, Bahki Arabi, and but it's English, and it's funny joke. He's like, no, I didn't know. And he came to the show, and he was just dying laughing because it was very new, just standing in front of the microphone and just talking.
Just making,
Yeah, and people were relating to. I did more family stuff when I went there, just kind of the peek behind the curtain of American, Arab American life, not being able to speak Arabic too well, and some of the beatings I took from the shoe throwing. They were like,
Lord!
One woman goes, you make abuse very funny. I was like, yeah, but I was like, it wasn't abuse. It was discipline. So that's the only thing I noticed. They're very savvy, or they're very smart. And then when I came back to America, it's like I got spoiled over there that I came back to American audiences, and I was like, wow, because they hang on to every word. And yeah. So it was very different.
Jeff Dunham, I watched the thing that he did where he did a tour and he went to the Middle East and
when I was
Saudi
there
Arabia
before
and
he
went to all these other different places, so it was very interesting.
I was there before he went there, and people were like telling me, like, oh, so who do you like in America? The guy Ahmed the terrorist. I was like, what? And I was like, you like him? And like, he was very funny. And I guess in the beginning they asked him to come, and word through the grapevine, this is like inside info, he was kind of scared to go. He was kind of, I think his manager was telling him it's a little shaky and maybe it's a setup. They might just grab you. And so what about the terrorist thing? Ahmed the terrorist. But eventually he went. I didn't know he went until you told me. So that's pretty awesome that he kind of...
No, he did. And I guess they said that he could not use that particular character in his comedy show.
Really?
They said he could not use him, but what
That's
he did was...
crazy, because they told me they loved it.
Yeah, but he came up with a solution, which I absolutely loved.
What
It
did
was
he do?
hilarious. He got his, I don't remember what he named him, but it was the brother.
The son.
The son,
He
the
did
brother.
that in American, his last special. I saw the son.
So yeah, he beat the system.
So wait, how did he?
what
Oh,
had
because
to
the
do.
son was like
He
anti.
said that particular that particular character he could not use. So he's okay. So he just got another character that was pretty
was
much
his
the
son.
same, but it was a different name and it was a different character. But
That's
it was
crazy.
the same idea.
But it was
So,
the same ideology and the
hey,
same jokes.
he beat
And
the system and it worked. And
that's
it was
crazy
just
they didn't call him out
hilarious.
on that. That's crazy.
But they couldn't. I mean, they
It was
didn't
too
say
late.
he couldn't
Yeah.
use somebody else.
That's smart.
So it worked. So hey,
Well, when
there-
I
there
first
is a
got
way
there,
to
they were
do
like
it.
they were very restrictive. Like certain, like Jordan, you can get away with stuff. Just don't talk about the king, which I got away with. I did a clever joke that was a compliment to the king, and the promoters were like nervous and like, I can't believe you get away with this. When we went to Dubai, you could talk about this. Don't talk about politics. Don't talk about. So it was like, what do we talk about? You know. So it was very restrictive. That opened up a little bit more last time I went there. Egypt. You know, the place that really shocked me, that was the most open place, is me and Amr Zahar and Iman Al Husseini. We did the first comedy show, Western comedy show with Adi Khalifa.
It takes courage. It really
Yeah,
does
we
in
did
those
it
areas.
in Nazareth. And I was like, it was the first time we were going there, and I was like nervous. You know, I was like, the last guy that stood up in Nazareth in public that spoke his mind, it didn't go well.
Didn't go well.
Yeah, but they were the most open. They're like, hey, talk about whatever you want. So, and the funny thing is they gave me carte blanche, but that was one of the cleanest sets I've done. Because you see me, I'm a little racy, but yeah, but they gave me, that was the most, I was shocked. That was the most open place I've played in the Middle East. And Egypt is a little bit more
Lebanon.
open. Lebanon was kind of open.
Right.
Lebanon was very, because it's a lot of French,
Yeah,
Western
I mean,
influences.
Yeah, Lebanon is very open, but it's
Yeah.
really it really makes you appreciate what our system is here,
Yeah,
because
big
it
time.
is freedom of speech, and
Big
you're
time.
not being edited in terms of what your
Yeah,
performance
I
is.
mean, the only time you can get open is if you're doing a private event, and then
Right.
you can talk about anything.
Right, but I think the whole concept of comedy, taking it to that area, and
Right.
you're a pioneer, as is Amir and Amir Zahid and
Yeah,
all these
Ahmed
individuals, Ahmed, all these individuals, pioneers, because really there were no professional comedians, of Arab
Now it's
descent.
spreading like wildfire.
It
Like
is.
we had local guys opening up for us.
Mohamir too.
Muammar, yeah, he's done a lot of travels. But the weird thing that's happening is, like in Saudi Arabia and Kuwait and Lebanon, and we kind of, I remember them talking to us like, oh, we're fans and we like this guy, and then when we left, a year later, I'm looking on Facebook and we see these guys like doing theater shows within a year, so because there's not much there, so we didn't go there as much. So I was like, man, we created monsters there, so we're not like we're getting axed out now. But yeah, they just took it around with it, and some of them were very funny. They were very advanced for what they are. Yeah, so it was just very, very. We had a doctor open up for us that never did comedy. He did really well. And now, like 2 years later, he contacted me on Facebook. He's from Lebanon, and he goes, "I just want to thank you for talking and blah 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 and giving us advice." And he's making a living at comedy now.
And I love it, because I know when you do your tours, you have there's the other gentleman that we actually went and saw you, some friends of ours, and
Yeah.
my husband Hassan. We all went and saw you. It was you, and it was a gentleman of Hispanic descent.
Sandro Rodriguez.
Yes,
He's from
yes,
Detroit.
Yes,
He's from
okay.
Detroit. Yeah.
And I love that, because you mix the different cultures, and when you start with the different cultures in
Yeah.
comedy, I mean, it's just it's
Well, that's what I'm saying.
It's
In my
hilarious.
stand-up,
I love
whether I'm
it.
performing for all Middle Eastern audiences, I usually perform for mixed audiences. Like in LA, I'm a regular at Comedy Store, Improv. I've done a lot of urban rooms, which is black rooms, what they call them urban lately, to be PC. But I've been trained.
I don't know what that means, but okay.
Latino rooms, yeah. It was mainly black rooms. Now they call them urban.
All right.
But it was some rough shows, man. Like, that's what I'm saying. Like, black audiences, if they they love you right off the bat, but it's joke to joke. So it's like if you get a little slouch in maybe a minute, like mainly white audiences will give you that break and they'll just be silent, but they'll let you regain ground. But black audiences will just right away you see the black girl, boo, get off stage, boo. Like after one joke, if you slouch, and
well, the expectation is high.
But
you're up there to
and
entertain.
they're dying 1 minute, but yeah, they're very, and that was a good training ground.
So do you find the differences
you
in those,
find,
like
yeah,
Arab audiences,
so that's,
Hispanic audiences,
yeah, and that,
African
a
American?
little bit of difference, but my material is kind
Do
of
you cater to
universal.
that?
Not really, like you do, but then it kind of gives you gems that you see are a crossover. Like I would try.
So is comedy really universal, or is it?
It can be. Yeah, it can be. I mean, you know, you pick gems out of certain rooms that you do, and you see if it works. Let's see if this joke works in a black room. Or let's see if this urban joke works in a white room, or mainly Caucasian room, and it does. Not all the material, but it you know, it's good training ground, and it helps you make yourself more of a universal comic. And like I said, I've done Latin jokes and stuff like that over in the Middle East, and they get it. I did about my gardener. Remember that joke about my gardener? That would scam me and act like he didn't speak English? That worked in the Middle East.
You know,
it's broken, yeah, and it worked.
Alex loved that
Yeah,
joke.
and it
He
worked
says
in the
it
Middle
all the
East.
time.
And they don't have.
My son.
Yeah, and I talked to some of the promoters. Like, I didn't think it's gonna work because they don't
It's
have Latino
hilarious.
gardeners, and I did it anyways, and it worked. You know, they relate to the character
Right.
and the theme of the joke.
And that's what
so
I
yeah.
love about your comedy.
Yeah.
It is cultural, across cultural barriers, and I think comedy and laughter really is what
Yeah, but that's what I'm
makes you
saying.
feel good and
Playing
connects
those,
people.
Playing those different rooms help.
Yeah.
Like not a lot of comics will do that. They'll just
Right.
play one certain room all the time, and then they jump to
Well, you
it.
take chances, and
You
and
have
that's
to,
good.
yeah, yeah.
See what works.
It's a lot of
and,
trial and error.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
how to identify with your audience.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, you're doing some amazing things. You know, your career has really been stellar. And I told you before we got on camera, I really think you are an amazing actor. You have
thank you.
some amazing skills, and
Thank you.
and you get into character. And when I watch you, you're so believable, and you're funny when you do it. Very natural. So I'm looking forward to all these different projects that you're going to be in, and I'm glad that you represent the lighter side of who we are, and that's what we have to remember.
Yeah.
And culturally speaking, I love the way you mesh everything together, and,
thank you.
it's a working formula. So keep up the good work.
I'll try to.
Thank you so much
Thank you, sweetie.
for being here on Off the Cuff. Mike Batayeh, everyone.
I'm back.
Yeah, he's back in Detroit, but we're going to look for him on the big screen and
Yes,
on
ma'am.
comedy stages around the world.
Awesome.
Thanks for being here.
Thanks for
And
having
thank you for being here on Off the Cuff. We'll see you next time.